showing some sort of resilience. BTCS, Infosys, you saw them actually recover from the day's lowest point. You saw Eicher Motors also see an uptick from the day's low. But for now, over the last 15 minutes, if you look at it, you have ITC, you have ONGC, HPCL. They are the ones that have lost the steam. And all of this, I think today we can at least blame it on the US Federal Reserve, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the main reason we've seen, even the Asian markets opening up weak, Indian markets seeing an impact of that as well. But the US Fed raised its interest rates by another 75 basis points, and the chair, Jerome Powell, vowed to keep at their battle to beat down inflation. Remember, this is the third straight 75 basis point rate hike by the Fed this year, and taking the total to 300 basis points so far this year. Now, the Fed move has boosted its benchmark short-term rate, which affects many consumers and business loans, to a range of 3% to 3.25%, the highest level that we've seen coming in since early 2008. Now, in a grim setup of projections, the Fed foresees the policy rate rising at a faster pace and to a higher level than what is expected, and the economy slowing to a crawl, and unemployment rising, a degree of historically associated to recession coming in as well.
My main message has not changed at all since Jackson Hole. The FOMC is strongly resolved to bring inflation down to 2%, and we will keep at it until the job is done. Longer run inflation expectations have generally been fairly well anchored, and as I've said, there's no basis for complacency there, but to the extent that continues to be the case, that should make it easier to restore price stability. And I guess the third thing I would point to that's different this time is that part of this inflation is caused by this series of supply shocks that we've had, beginning with the pandemic and really with the reopening of the economy, and more recently amplified and added to by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have all contributed to the sharp increase in inflation. So these are the kinds of events that are not really seen in prior business cycles. And in principle, if those things start to get better, and we do see some evidence of the beginnings of that. It's not much more than that, but it's good to see that. For example, commodity prices look like they may have peaked for now. Supply chain disruptions are beginning to resolve. Those developments, if sustained, could help ease the pressures on inflation.
All right, so that's the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. After the rate hike decision that the FOMC had taken, market had priced in a 75 basis rate hike by the Federal Reserve. But yes, the commentary is very hawkish, with the fact that they're expecting 125 basis point additional rate hike in 2022. So let's get on board our experts today to understand what would this mean for Indian equity markets and Indian companies at large. We have Kunal Bothra as well as Vikas Sethi joining us. A very good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Vikas. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And Vikas, I'll come first to you. Very hawkish commentary coming in from Federal Reserve. We were pretty much prepared for hawkish commentary given from the Jackson Hole Symposium. There has been a build-up of Federal Reserve officials also coming out sounding very hawkish, saying that they are not done yet when it comes to raising rates, given that the inflation is pretty much at it's still going to be rising going ahead. 125 additional basis point rate hike we are expecting in 2022. If you look at the way how the markets had performed, definitely we had expected it, but not the hawkish commentary and the fact that they will hike the rates furthermore. Where do you see Indian markets from here on, and especially Indian companies who have exposure to the United States?
Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Vinny. As far as yesterday's Fed meeting is concerned, the rate hike of 0.75% was on expected lines. But the statement post the rate hike of Jerome Powell were a bit aggressive, in the sense he's talking about 125 bips rate hike in this calendar year, which is only about 4 to 5 months to go. So we should be expecting some aggressive rate hikes. They've not been able to contain inflation, and they've said they will do whatever it takes to bring down inflation. But so we need to be a bit cautious as far as the US is concerned. But it's good that we've been prepared for a 125 basis point rate hike from here on. And if inflation numbers, which are due sometime next month, they show any improvement and things become better and they reduce that, then it will be pretty positive for the markets. But if we look at look at the Indian markets, I think we are in a very sweet spot. our whole macroeconomic factors doing pretty well. Our inflation numbers, although they are high, but they are our normal. We are used to seeing these kind of inflation levels in our country. And credit growth has been good, corporate earnings have been good, and rainfall has been good. So I think as far as Indian markets are concerned, we need not worry. We are down but not out, and I think any substantial correction in our markets on these external factors, international factors, would be a very good opportunity for long-term investors to buy into Indian markets.
Okay. That's the view coming in from Vikas. But Kunal, coming to you, how are you reading this? How are you reading the Dow Jones also coming in now? What should one be seeing coming in? Because yes, there is some recession fears also coming in the US market. There is a big concern in their domestic market. So what should one be reading there?
So thank you, Vinny, for that. Good morning to you as well as Cheryl and Vikas as well. My sense is that because the US Fed hike directly impacts many of the asset classes, and of course across equity, Dow Jones is the first important index to watch out for. The trends over there are very important. Now, what have happened for Dow Jones is that the index is now just about some 2% away from its previous major lows. I think 2022 June is where Dow Jones had made a low of 29,500, 600, and we are now just about 600 or 700 points away from trying to retest the lows. But more interestingly, the index has formed a dual breakdown in terms of Ichimoku pattern. So that's again not a comforting sign for the US major. So that generally indicates that the markets are still getting into a bit of a jittery mode from current levels, and possibly with further rate hikes being expected over the next 2 to 3 months of this calendar year, we can expect that there could be more correction for the US major, at least over the very near term.
All right, so that's a view coming in from both our experts on where they see the markets headed, and especially where Dow has been will be headed. That's what Kunal has said, and Vikas has said that over the longer term, India is definitely one of the best markets to invest in. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But when we come back, we will be back with your queries. So viewers, don't go anywhere.
Powered by Housing.
Nikunj, you are a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
The problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
From the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy. Only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better. And with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you're a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
You know, the problem on
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and time to kickstart our query segment. But before that, Vikas, let me come to you. And given the way how the markets have been pretty volatile, even today, as you can see, in the last 1 hour of trade, also the volatility in the market has been pretty high. Given this sort of a volatility, how should a retail investor protect its wealth?
Sharil, as far as retail investor is concerned, he should be looking at this market from only a long-term point of view. He should not be interested in trading. And if one is looking at Indian markets from a long-term point of view, I remain absolutely confident that our markets would continue to do well. It's India's decade, or it's India's centenary. And the only thing which one has to keep in mind is he should be invested in good quality stocks with proper and solid management in the right sectors. And it does not matter what price he buys that stock in, but if he is willing to give 3 to 5 years to that stock, which has a quality management, is in the right sector and with good fundamentals, I can have not bought it very expensive. Meaning one certainly needs to look at valuations also at any point in time. I don't think one needs to worry. So long term, I'm pretty bullish on this market. The only thing to consider is one should be into good quality stock.
Okay, and with that, let's just start all the queries that you have sent us and start with the query segment. And good morning, Kunal, as well as Vikas to you both. And Kunal, I'm going to start with you then. We have a query which is coming in actually on the defense side, whether you look at BDL or Cochin Shipyard or Mazgaon Dock. Now, Tani from Hyderabad wants to know which stock should she looking to buy as of now with the current market price for a 6-month to a 1-year time period?
See, I think it's very difficult because there are so many stocks from the basket which are looking attractive, which have moved up higher, and then some, stocks which have given great returns over the last 6 months, kind of an average time span for themselves. But then there are two stocks which I closely track, so I would probably stick to those names from a recommendation point of view as well. One would be Bharat Electronics. I think that stock post a special situation as well. It's come back towards 110 mark, looks attractive on the charts, but then have a staggered opportunity, a staggered strategy where you can look to buy the stock on substantial dips starting from say current levels, and then wait out for a point where the stock dips 7% to 8% on average, and then look to chip into the stock further. Even HAL has been a stock which looks attractive on the charts. In fact, the stock in the last 5 or 6 days has corrected by 10% from its previous swing highs. So that again makes the entry point from a short to medium term very attractive.
Okay, Vikas, coming to you, Hemanta Datta has written to us and he wants to invest in Prestige Estates, but he wants to know whether it's a good long-term bet. His long-term is for 2 to 3 years. Do you think Prestige Estates stands out in the realty pack, or should he look at some other name in the real estate sector?
Yeah, Cheryl, it's a good quality company, mainly focused on South India, cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. The company's fundamentals are good and it's been doing well. And I think if one is bullish on the real estate sector, this could be one stock which one can invest in from a long-term point of view. So I think the investor has chosen a good quality stock from the real estate sector to invest from a long-term point of view.
I'm going to come back to you. We have a special message also coming in for you from Ms. Ghosh from Delhi. She says that, your views and recommendations and everything has really helped her. She's thanking you for that. And she has a query coming in for today, Vikas, that is from Acrisil. She's holding 2,200 shares of Acrisil at 710 rupees. Should she continue to hold this for a long term? And should she look to average this also?
Absolutely a hold. I'm very bullish on this stock from a long-term point of view, and at the current price, she can certainly average this stock. It's a very good company, a very popular brand. They have a brand by the name of Carisil, and they're one of the world's leader in quartz kitchen sink. And they've also a technical tie-up with a German company. So I remain bullish on the stock, and there are some marquee investors who are invested in this stock. One prominent name which comes to my mind is the Abacus fund of Sunil Singhania, which is also holding a stake of close to 6% in this stock. So I think one need not worry and just stay put with this stock.
It's coming from Sunny, and Sunny also had written to us yesterday. He's writing to us from Japan, and hopefully today we should be having his query answered. So he's a long-term investor, Kunal, but he wants to know about Sequence Scientific. He's already holding 1,250 shares, which he's purchased at 170 rupees per share. He wants your view on this one because he's looking to average at current price. Do you think it makes sense?
Well, it could make sense at current levels. The only reason for that is that the 2 months back, I think the month of June or July, the stock had a brilliant month for itself, where it managed to end almost a 1 year of correction. So from earlier being at 325, the stock had corrected to as low as 80-85 levels, and then from 85 in just a matter of 1 month, the stock moved up hard to 130, and then follows 2 months of correction back again. So that's a typical sign that the initial phase of rally was quite strong. The stock is now getting into a mean reversion, and now we could probably see a second round of rally yet again for Sequence Scientific. So I think it's an interesting chart shaping up. Ideally, as a technical breakout, we typically wait out for 130 to be taken out for the confirmation to happen. But because of the setup and indicators in the prices, I think buying at current levels would also not be a bad bet. So you can look to average at current zone.
Vikas, we have the next query, which is coming in from Denmark from Naveen. This one is on IEX. They're currently holding 1,500 shares of IEX at 154 rupees, and they're holding it since 2 years approximately. Now, it has been a big laggard in the past. So now, what is a long-term view coming in on IEX? Should they continue to hold this for a long term?
First, Vinny, if the investors bought it at 154 2 years back, then this has already been a five-bagger because in the last 2 years, in the last 1 year, the stock had touched a high of more than 1,000 plus. And from there, it has corrected and it has been split into five in the last 1 year. So she must be having 5 times the original quantity which he or she has bought. It's a very good company, although the stock has not performed off late. But if you look at it from a long-term point of view, in the last 1.5 years, it's created humongous wealth for its long-term investors. And I think the business model is good and power sector is doing well. And it's a kind of monopoly as far as power trading is concerned. So I would maintain a hold at the current levels.
This next query that I have is coming in from Devi Das, and Devi Das wants to know whether she should add Sona BLW Precision at current market price. The view is for 6 months to 1 year. And Kunal, I'm guessing you may not have a view on this one. Will you be having one?
No, I don't have that kind of a data to try and predict from a longer term view. But even from a short term play, I don't see any major reason why you should be looking to buy the stock at current levels. So one, of course, is the fact that for the fourth or the fifth consecutive month, if I'm not wrong, the stock has been making a pattern of lower highs and lower lows consistently. Correction has been quite steep. Ideally, you have to wait out for one candle reversal for these stocks to try and indicate that the near-term bottom is in place. It's absolutely fine that you buy the stock maybe a 5% or a 7% costlier than a downward trending range for itself, because it's very difficult to preempt when would the stock start to reverse. But then wait out for a point where the stock gets into a reversal phase, maybe a crossover about that 540 mark for Sona, BLW Sona Comstar, I think could be a point where you can look to start buying the stock, but not at current levels.
Okay. Kunal, I'm going to come back to you. We have a query coming in from Chandan Jain from Hubli, and this one is on SBI. Should they book profit or continue to hold this? They've bought these 873 shares at around 350 rupees per share. Now, given the market volatility, they're a bit worried. So what should they be doing with this?
Well, I think it could be a good time that you can look to book out profits over here. I think the markets are also getting into a phase that there could be some bit of more volatility over the near to medium term. And I think you've made good profits on SBI from 350 levels. The stock has rallied up to 555, 560. If I'm not wrong, it's also perched very closer to its lifetime highs, which I think it had hit a few days back itself. So I think it's a good time that you're booking out profits over here. And then assuming the market gets into a correction phase and the stock corrects by say 10 to 15% further, say comes back closer to 500 mark, that could be a point where you can look to reinitiate a buy.
Okay, this next query that I have is coming in from Gauri Gupta and wants to know about Tanla Platforms, Vikas, because she's already holding the shares at around 1,350 rupees per share. She wants to know what should she do. Should she look to sell the counter or average? She's saying that she can hold it for the long term though.
Now again, a stock which has created tremendous wealth for its long-term investors over the last 2 years. The stock went to highs of 2,100 odd, and from there it is corrected sharply. But at the current levels, I think one can certainly hold on to the stock. I think if he or she gives about a year or so, I think he or she should be able to see her buying price. So there's no point in getting out at these levels, and I think it would be best to hold the stock at the current level.
That's the view coming in on Tanla Solutions from Vikas. But Kunal, the next query we have is on ITI. Now, Santosh from Mangalore is holding ITI for the past 1 year. They have 2,000 shares at 134 rupees per share. So they're saying that it's repeatedly hitting that 122 mark and reversing a bit. What should they be doing now? Continue to hold this, or what's your view?
See, what you can ideally do is that I think it's a good observation that you've also spotted that the stock has this habit of coming towards 120, 125 zone, facing resistance and then coming back into a corrective phase. So the best strategy in these kind of stocks is, once you identify a resistance point, is look to buy the stock at much lower zones. So for example, if it comes closer to 100 odd mark, that could improve your average price as well as position yourself quite well when you're looking for a rebound and a retest towards that 120 plus mark. So I would suggest that closer to 100 point is where you can look to average, bring your cost price significantly lower, and once the stock comes back closer to that 120 or 125 mark, you can look out to book profits from your quantity which you buy at the lower rate, and I think that's where you can probably try and strategize till the time the stock doesn't break out of that 130 barrier.
Okay, this next one is from Sudarshan, and he's saying that he sold 500 put option on Canfin Homes and Kunal, and he's saying currently it's in the F&O ban. What should he be doing now?
Well, I think if you've already sold it, you can square off your position. Squaring off your position doesn't require, any, because it's not a fresh initiation which you're doing, even if the stock is in F&O band. But if you're already holding, a short on put options, which means you are expecting that the stock is not bullish, and the stock is at 530, then I believe that it's a good strategy that we can look to exit the stock. Now, I'm not sure of what exactly is the current market price for this put option, but then I think because of the way the stock is falling precipitously over the last 5-6 days, it makes a lot of sense to exit the stock.
Okay. On that note, I think we're going to slip into a very short break, viewers. Don't go anywhere, experts as well as the viewers, because we'll be taking more queries after the short break.
अबे तू किधर है? नंबर 12 MG रोड यानी
Coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
From the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy. Only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better. And with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and as promised, let's get going with your queries. But let's take a note of the markets quickly, because we have definitely fallen much more from the start of the show. Now, at the day's lowest point, over 130 points knock from the day's highest point for the Nifty. You have rupee also that's lingering at the record low levels against the dollar. Right now, it is at upwards of around 80.6. But let's get going with your queries once more, and this one is from Maleshwar. And Kunali wants to know whether he can buy Bank of Baroda or Bajaj Finserv at current market price for the short term.
See, I think these are the points of time where you have to curtail your beta of your portfolio. By beta, I mean try and not look out for more high beta names, but look out for stocks which have been more stronger, the usual Nifty 50 names which you typically look out for. So I think in this kind of volatility in the market, it makes a lot of sense towards lowering your beta. If the markets were into a fine fettle, then we could probably have expected that Bank of Baroda could have outperformed. But just because of the recent volatility across the globe and possible, volatile nature of the markets going forward, I would suggest Bajaj Finserv or Finance.
Because this next query we have is coming in from Siddharth from Bangalore. He wants a fundamental view on barbecue nations.
Now, again, a good quality stock with some marquee investors having invested into the stock. I think it's a good stock from a long-term point of view. Whether you buy it at the current levels or wait for some more correction, I think one should be using a staggered approach to be accumulating this stock. Over a longer period of time, I think we could get a substantial upside from the current level.
All right, this next one is coming from Manish Raju. Kunal, 600 shares of Nava is what he's holding. I believe is Nava Bharat, name changed now, at around 187 rupees per share. He wants to know what's your view on the counter. Should he sell or hold?
Well, I think we should book out profits over here. The stock is at 205, if I'm not wrong. So I think it's a good time that you can look to book out profits. Fourth or the fifth consecutive week of price downtrend for the stock. So I think that generally indicates that there's certain weakness which is creeping into the stock price. You may see probably a further correction, maybe the stock coming back to its at 180 mark, which is the cost price. So it's good to book out profits over here and then relook at probably investing into the stock back to your initial cost price.
Okay. Because this next query we have is coming in from N. Lakshmi from Hyderabad. Currently holding 5,000 shares of Gujarat Gas, and this is since IPO, so the price is 0.20 rupees, so that's like 20 paise. Please, could you advise the prospects coming in for the company going forward? Should they continue to hold them even now going forward?
So first, the investor needs to be complimented for having bought this stock and having held on to the stock for so long and multiplying his or her wealth. And as far as the stock is concerned, it's a good company. Although there are a lot of factors which influence the stock price of this company, because the government policies is there and there's no control on gas prices and oil prices and blah blah. So it's dependent on that, but I think it's a good company to hold. And if this is the only stock which he or she has in her portfolio, then I would recommend he or she should book 50% profits and buy some other stock from some other sector and stay there for long term.
Okay, Neha wants a few suggestions of hotel or hospitality stocks that are attractive at current valuations, Kunal, and have good upside potential over the next 3 to 4 months and for a swing trade. Do you think chalet hotels make sense?
Well, there's no stock which is left behind in this market rally for the hotel names, whether it's the large cap or the formidable ones like Indian Hotels, whether it's the mid cap ones like Chalet, Lemon Tree, EIH, as well as Oriental Hotels, etc. I think all of these stocks have seen a phenomenal rally. So, of course, you would be buying these stocks at the FAG or at the much higher price end for itself. So, it doesn't make sense to initiate a buy into these stocks, and especially looking at the last recent 3-6 months of price rally for themselves. You have to wait out for a point where these stocks correct by at least 10 to 15%, if not more, from their swing highs. That could be a point where you can look to buy the stock. I would suggest to wait out for that period, have patience, and then wait out for the period. Assuming in the next 2 to 3 months, if you get that kind of an opportunity, that could be a point where you can look to buy these names.
Okay. Because the next query we have is coming in from Sunil Kelkar from Pune. This one is on Cummins. They have 8,400 shares of Cummins at an average price of around 50 rupees. They're holding it since 2001 already. Should they continue to hold this, sell this? What's the view for long term?
Today we have such kind of investors whom we need to learn from. Rather than they seeking the answers to their queries, we would need to learn from them. The investors bought it at a very good price and a very good company which has generated a tremendous wealth for him. I think even at the current levels, the stock can be held on to, and I would highly recommend that he continues to hold on to his holdings of Cummins India even at the current level.
Right, and that's rightly said actually, Vikas, because the amount of wealth some of our viewers have made with right investment choices and with right time of investment. I think for all of us, it's like a lesson to learn from how to be patient and a long-term investor. But Kunal, we did speak about hotel stocks and hospitality sector. Nino wanted to know about Royal Orchid Hotels. You know, that's one of the stocks that missed during the hotel sector rally. Do you think it's advisable to look at this one?
Apologies, I don't track the stock, so I won't be able to offer any comment.
All right. By any chance, do you cover this counter, Vikas?
No, Cheryl, I do not cover this counter, but if one were to look at the hotel sector, I think Indian Hotels, EIH Hotels and Lemon Tree, from the small-sized stock, I think they would fit the bill and one should be invested in these.
Kunal, this next query we have is coming in on Raymond. This is from TV Murli from New Delhi. They're holding 100 shares of Raymond's. What should they be doing? They've not mentioned the price or anything, but how is Raymond looking like for the short term then?
Well, it looks very attractive on the charts. I think, in fact, this is one stock which I believe should be a part of your core mid-cap portfolio as well. I think the stock has done reasonably well. Even in the last, I think, 12 months, it's recovered from 200 towards 1,000 plus levels. So I think it's doing pretty well for itself. Just I think this month or last month, if I'm not wrong, the stock has confirmed a breakout of a major multi-month high for itself as well on closing basis. So I think that could be also one of the reasons why I believe that you can hold on to the stock. I would recommend a hold.
Okay, this one is coming from Satya, and Satya wants a suggestion on the best bet in the private sector bank for the short to medium term. Kunal, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank or something else?
Something else, IndusInd Bank is what I would recommend. I, for one, believe that the stock is going into a big turnaround mode. In fact, over the last 2 months, I've been consistently mentioning IndusInd Bank as one of the top picks. The stock has done reasonably well from 1,000 plus towards 1,250, where the stock tested yesterday. So I think it's a good time that if you get a 50 point, 70 point correction from a previous major high for IndusInd Bank, that could be a point where you can need to chip into the stock.
Okay. Next query we have is coming in from Lavish from Indore, and Vikas, this one is for you. They're holding 1,000 Borosil renewable shares and they have a time frame of around 1 year to 18 months approximately time period holding. Should they continue to hold this one? They've not mentioned, I think, the buy price.
Yeah, Vinny, it's again a very good stock to stay put with from a long-term point of view. Yesterday, the PLI scheme which the government announced for solar modules, that is also pretty positive for this stock. And since yesterday, the stock has already gone up 5 to 7%. Today also it's up by 4%. And I continue to remain positive on this. They've also done an acquisition in Germany of a company which is the largest solar glass manufacturer there. So things are looking very positive, and there's a tremendous demand for solar glasses, and this is the only manufacturer in India of solar glasses, and it's an innovative company. So I remain bullish on this and would recommend a hold. And if one wants to even buy into this stock, one could look for opportunities during correction to buy it from long term.
Okay, Rajagopalan wants a view on IG Petrochem for the long term, Vikas. Is it a good buy at current levels, and his long term is about 2 to 3 years?
Now again, fundamentally good stock, and the stock has corrected from its highs. It currently trades at, I think, close to 600 rupees. It's a good stock and fundamentals look good, and I think it should also start moving up and would give substantial returns in the next 2 to 3 years. So would recommend an investment in the stock at the current level.
Okay, Kunal, we have this next query which is coming in from RK Ahuja, and this one is actually on TV18. They want to know, should they sell TV18 and buy into solar industries for a time period of around 1 year, not more than that?
So, I think may not be a bad decision to try and shift from TV18 towards solar industries. The only concern is not the timing of TV18, but the timing of solar industries, because the stock has run up exceedingly high in the last 3 months. I think from 2,700, the stock is already at 1,000 points higher to 3,800 plus levels currently. So the only catch over here is the timing with respect to solar industries. But then other than that, I think it's a good stock, reasonably done well over the last 2 years, 3 years kind of a time frame. So this decision is quite right, but then maybe the timing may not be perfect in terms of buying solar industries.
All right. This next one is coming in from Sameer Jana, and he wants to invest in Bajaj Finserv. I know Vikas did speak about Bajaj Finance Finserv, but he wants to know what's the right price to enter this particular counter. So Kunal, over to you, Bajaj Finserv.
Well, I would be bullish on the stock, and I think ideally a 5% to 7% correction is a good enough point to try and buy the stock from a short-term play. If you're looking at it as a slightly medium-term play, then from the recent highs, maybe a 10% to 12% could be a good point to buy. So even if you look at the recent high of 1800, 1820 for Bajaj Finserv, that the math works out to be closer to 1700 is where you can look to start going for short-term play, and maybe closer to 1600 is where you can look out for buying the stock, assuming if your time frame is more long-term.
Okay, the next query, Vikas, we have is coming in from Muscat. This one is from Pratiksha, and yes, Kunal did give the technical views coming in on Sona BLV. He did speak a bit about it, but how is it looking fundamentally for you, Vikas? What is the price that should they look to buy this one?
Yeah, Vinny. Firstly, there are a lot of international investors who are raising their questions today. So this investor from Muscat is there. Anyway, as far as Sona BLW is concerned, I remain bullish on the stock. Fundamentals are extremely good, and it's a play on the electric vehicle story. It is one of the largest electric auto component maker with more than 50% revenues coming from that segment, and it is one of the companies, one of the three companies which have been chosen by Tesla for supplying auto components to them. And with the kind of focus which the government has on electric vehicles and worldwide demand for electric vehicles, I think this would continue to do well. And their fundamentals are also very good. They've above industry average return ratios, above industry average margins. And they've recently done a tie-up with an Israeli company, a Canadian company. So although the stock has come down because of a block deal recently which happened, I think one UK-based investor has sold on, but the buyer also has been pretty good marquee investors. So I do not see any problem with the company, and I think it's a very good time to buy into the stock if one has a say 1 to 2 year horizon.
All right, this one is coming from Dikshita, and Vinny just asked about Sona BLW. I'll ask about Motherson Sumi then. Vikas, what's your view on Motherson Sumi?
Again, a good quality auto component company. The entire sector is doing well, and there's a lot of pent-up demand for the auto sector. The stock has been beaten down. I think one should clearly hold at the current level.
Okay. Kunal, this next query we have is coming in, and this one is on BHEL. VG from Kerala is holding BHEL at 63.50 rupees. Should they continue to hold this or exit?
Well, I think we should continue to hold this. I think it's a quality PSU name. Yes, the stock has underperformed and not given as strong returns as expected. But then your cost price is also quite reasonable enough. And I believe if the market gets into a recovery phase back again, BHEL should come back towards levels of 63, 64 over the very near term. So I would suggest a hold.
Okay, after a query break, I'm coming back to you again, Vikas, and this one is coming from Indumati. Which packaging stock is good for the long term?
The best one which comes to my mind instantly would be Polyplex, a very great company. And if you look at this company's fundamentals, they've been paying dividend every quarter, and their results have been fantabulous quarter on quarter. So I think one needs to look at Polyplex from within the packaging sector to buy for long term.
Do ask for a good stock. Vikas suggested a best stock for her. See, this is the magic of buy now, sell now, isn't it?
Absolutely. But let's keep it going. Okay, there are a lot of queries coming in on IT space. We have spoken about it, during the week as well. But I'm just going to take this one and combine all of this. Kunal, Tata Elxsi, KPIT Tech, these mid-cap names. Which stock would you suggest, and is it the correct time to enter into this mid-cap space then?
So Tata Elxsi, I would still want to stay away. The pure reason for that is the recent correction into the stock price. So the run-up was quite steep. The stock had not broken below the 200-day moving average even once in the last 1.5 years. And now when the stock is getting to a reversal, reversal kind of a phase, there is all the more possibility that it should retest the 200 DMA and possibly even break below that for a brief period. So that means another correction of 10% could be in the offing for Tata Elxsi, given that kind of a statistical comparison. Compared to that, I think KPIT Tech could actually turn out to be a good bet. The stock in the last couple of days has shown some good pickup of price action, and is also one of the few mid-cap IT stocks which have not corrected significantly and much below its 200 moving average. The correction had ended closer to 200 DMA for KPIT Tech, so that's a more preferred name as compared to Tata Elxsi.
So let me just add on to this one only because we are talking about IT. Then Kunal, Aditya wants to know, he wants to invest 1 lakh each in TCS, Infosys and ITC for the longer term. Do you think now makes sense? This is the right entry point for these counters?
Well, yes. In fact, the two IT names, Infosys and TCS, have been one of my favorites from the large cap IT names, and it makes a lot of sense to try and park your money over here. ITC also, I would completely agree, may not be a best time to try and buy your entire expected quantity, but then at least 50% to 60% of your expected quantity you can buy at current levels. I think the long-term charts are starting to open up quite well for ITC. So I would be of the belief that you can look to chip into these three names.
Okay, we have one more long-term query coming in, and this one is actually coming in from a viewer who's holding the shares of Tata Consumers. So that was Tata Global before, since IPO in almost since IPO, and 5,300 shares is what they're holding. Vikas, should they continue to hold this or sell?
No, again, fundamentals are excellent. It's a great company to hold on to from a long-term point of view. We do not know the price at which he or she has bought it, but I think at the current levels, it's certainly a hold. So I would maintain or advise the investor to continue to hold on to this great stock.
Holding since IPO.
All right. So on that note, actually, we will slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. And viewers, when we come back, we will continue the journey taking your queries. So don't go anywhere.
See, Nikunj, you're a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
The problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
From the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy. Only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better. And with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
Beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you're a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
The problem on
Welcome back, and you're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and we'll keep it going with your queries as of now as well. And let's start then with the rapid fire, where we will take your stocks quickly. Because I'm going to start with you. We have the first query, which is on the rapid fires coming in from Chandrasekharan. ABB, he's holding ABB, 100 shares at an average price of 2,700 rupees. Should they continue to hold this or exit?
Yeah, Vinny, it's a good stock to hold. So I would maintain a hold.
Okay, Sravan Ambati wants to know about DMart, bought at around 4,431 rupees per share. Makes sense to hold it for the longer term. What's your take, Vikas?
No, again, DMart is a great company to hold. So again, a hold.
Kunal Prakash from Bangalore wants to know if they should continue to hold IEX. They've bought it at 172 rupees per share, so sell or average?
See, you can look to hold, but I believe a better level to average would be closer to 125. So either you can sell at current levels and look to rebuy, or maybe an average at 125.
Okay, Srinivas has bought Manali Petro at 105 rupees average price. A hold or exit, Kunal?
I would recommend an exit.
Vikas, BEL, we have the viewer Raghupati holding 600 shares at 55 rupees. Should they continue to hold this for a long term or shift to some other names?
Clearly a hold. When I buy the current bullish on the entire different sector, is one of the best places.
Okay, Kunal, Dinesh wants to know what is a good entry price for Nifty Bank futures. Should he enter now is what he's asking.
Well, the indicators are nowhere closer to oversold for Nifty Bank. So purely if you're asking for a long trade on Nifty Bank, I would suggest an avoid.
We have Advait who's holding ISAP shares, 500 ISAP shares at since last 10 years, Vikas. Should they continue to hold this or sell?
No, again, fundamentally a very good company. I think one should continue to hold.
Okay, Snehasis Gupta, 100 shares of Jubilant Food, purchased at 620 rupees per share. What's the 3-month view for this one, Kunal?
Well, would recommend a hold on Jubilant Food and expecting the stock to come back to a 3660, 680 zone.
Kunal, next query is on Stovecraft. The viewer is holding 100 shares at 1,405 rupees. Should they continue to hold, book the losses here, or what should they be doing?
I think you can hold on. The recent rally has been quite good. You can look to average also further, say closer to 650 mark.
Okay, just slipping in one last one. Dasarathi wants to know whether he can buy Canfin Homes right now. Kunal?
I would suggest an avoid.
Okay, with that, we are absolutely out of time on this edition of the query segment as well as on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Thank you so much, Kunal, Vikas, for joining in with us, and thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in to Buy Now, Sell Now. We will be back tomorrow. We will be taking more queries tomorrow. But with that, it's an end to this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है.
Coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs